Together we are but first coffee. Susie's just our host, but what matters most is we are a team. Together we are all safe here, and so are you. Among friends and mods we are safe. We talk about trauma, break down drama of life, death, happy or sad, even mad. We discuss it all here. Together we will thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Together we fight cults or fight addictions, if not with experience, with love, and we don't judge. Please understand, this is a safe place to land. Please understand, you're not alone. This is a safe place to land. Together we thrive, not just survive. We will dry each other's tears, celebrate big or small wins, and chase away the fears. Because we are but first coffee, and Susie welcomes us all here. Together we are but first coffee, and Susie.
Hi, everybody. I'm back. It's Sister Mary Bougie. Did y'all know that I'm Susie's oldest friend? Well, I mean, not her, like, oldest friend, but her friend that she's had the longest. Yeah, that's me. It's really funny. It's like we've actually known each other our entire lives. Like our entire lives, y'all. That's a long time, especially for Susie, because she's getting up there in those years. I mean, I'm much younger. I mean, you're never supposed to ask a nun how old she is because we're eternal, but she is much older than me. So, anyway, so y'all, this last week, Sister Mary Frances, she was in prayer the whole time over my last little performance. Apparently, I might have let a couple of wordy darts slip. So, anyway, but God must have been on my side because here I am, right? She let me come on again. In fact, she told me that, get on out of her sight because, I Susie deserved to see me. Yeah, I was kind of what she said. I don't know. She acted kind of huffy, but maybe she was just going to miss me while I was gone. So anyway, today I want to share some scripture that, it's probably, it's going to make you say, WTF. Only you might not use the initials, especially if you're Susie. But anyway, I promise you, people, I mean, would I lie? Would I lie to you? No. All of this is in the Bible, but I'm going to give you the bougie version of it though, because instead of just reading off the scriptures, because there's several of them, so to make it shorter, I'm just going to tell you what they say. So anyway, the first one I titled Baldness and Bears, and it's in 2 Kings chapter 2 verses 23 and 24. And so it says, because these verses they jump up in the middle of something. I'm not giving you the entire story. I'm just giving you certain verses, right? Anyway, so it says, so Elijah was headed to Bethel, and he was walking a long road, okay? And here came some boys and they accosted him. And they were raising a ruckus. It was pitiful. And they were saying, "Hey, Baldy, get out of here." Right? Which is not very nice. And I'm telling you that, Elijah, He was not very pleased. He was no, because he turned around and he looked at them and he called down a curse in the name of the Lord, and out of the woods, y'all, came 2 bears. 2 bears, big ones, and they mauled 42 of those boys. Just mauled them. Now, y'all, that's why Susie never makes fun of Mark's hairline. God sent Bear Paw Patrol faster than Meemaw on a yard sale day after those boys, and she don't want to risk it, so she just doesn't. Now, the next one, I call it talk. Oh, I've got a crick in my throat. Sorry. Talking donkeys, and it's in Numbers chapter 22, verses 28 and 30. And basically, what it says is there was this dude named Balaam, and he was beating his donkey. Yeah. And the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, which means that he made it where it could talk. Okay. And it said, Balaam, what did I do to make you beat me just now? And Balaam said, well, you made a fool of me. And if I had a sword, I would kill you right now. And Donkey said, am I not the same donkey that you've been riding all week? And, he had to give him credit for it. He did, been riding him all week. And he said, have I, in the last week, made it any kind of a habit to be making you look like a fool? And Balaam was like, no, donkey, you didn't do anything to make me look like a fool. To be perfectly honest, I don't know what the lesson is in that, but it's in the Bible. Gotta be important, and maybe one of these days I'll figure it out. You got any idea what it might be about? Put it in the comment section. But anyway, what I think might have been happening was I think that Balaam, I think that he always, looked like an ass. But I think that if your livestock starts talking to you, it's time to set Pawpaw's peach moonshine to the side. You've probably had a couple too many nips. Mhm. Now, number 3 is the Witch of Endor, and it's in 1 Samuel 28, and it's in verses 7 and 8 and 11 and 12. And basically, Saul told his buddies to find him a woman. Now, calm down. He didn't want a woman to marry. No, he wanted her to be a medium because he needed to talk to someone real bad, and that someone that he needed to talk to was already dead. Okay. So they started talking and they said, well, there is one that lives over in Endor over there, across the street from, you know, anyway, you don't care where she was at, but it was quite a little explanation. And so this Saul, he disguised himself, and late at night, he and 2 of his buddies snuck over into town to find this medium. And anyway, he told her that he needed her to bring forward a spirit, but only the one spirit that he needed to talk to. And so she said, all right, who do you want to talk to? And Saul said, Samuel. I want to talk to Samuel. Well, I'm going to tell you a little secret. The medium, she wasn't real. She's a real woman, but she was a fake medium, okay? But anyway, when the woman saw Samuel, she did her little hocus pocus stuff, but when she saw Samuel, it scared the living daylights out of her, and she screamed. So, anyway, what happened there was that, Saul went ghost hunting in a bad Halloween getup, and he went to this, Timu witch, right? And they both kinda got the shock of their lives because she managed to bring Samuel to the party, y'all. So, the moral to that story is to be careful what you wish for, you might just get it. So, anyway, number 4. Oh, this one's a good one. It's a little bit scary. It is a little. So, anyway, number 4, I call it Woman, Nails, and a Man's Head. Yep, that's right. And it's in Judges chapter 4, verse 21. And basically, she was Heber's wife. And let's just say she was a little fed up with his shenanigans. So she literally, y'all, she picked up a tent peg. She went over and she got in her little toolbox and she got her a hammer. And she quietly crept back over to where he was sleeping, snoring like a big old grizzly bear. He might have been one of those bears in the first story about those 42 boys. Might have been. I don't know. The Bible is kind of repetitive, so it might have been. But anyway, she drove that peg think clean through his temple and into the ground. Needless to say, he died. I told you it was a little bit scary. But y'all, the moral of the story is never underestimate a woman with a pink toolbox. I mean, right? Number 5, dry bones come back to life. It's another scary one. Maybe I should have saved this whole little lesson for closer to Halloween, right? Just wait till you see what I got then. So anyway, Ezekiel 37 verses 4 through 6 says, not really, but this is what I'm just telling you what I see it says. So it says that he said to me, talk to those bones and tell them, dry bones, hear the word. Hear the word of the Lord. And the Lord told the bones, I'm going to blow on you. Seems like that sounds kind of bad. But anyway, I'm going to blow on you and you're going to come to life. And I'm going to add tendons and flesh and skin. And then I'm going to breathe life into you. And then you'll know that I'm God. Well, I reckon if I saw some bones and somebody did all that and it came back to life, I would probably think that that was God too, or that I had been nipping on Papa's peach moonshine too much. Mhm. Absolutely. But anyway, but y'all, God was basically just running a one man episode of Extreme Makeover Skeletal Edition. Have you seen that one? I haven't seen it. I bet it'd be fun. Number 6, Jesus curses a fig tree. Now that sounds silly. It seems like Jesus would have had a lot better things to do than run around cursing fig trees. But anyway, in Mark chapter 11, verses 12 through 14, and then it picks up on verses 20 and 21, it says, so the next day they were leaving Bethany. Now, y'all, Bethany's a town. She's not a person. It's not a person. So, get your mind out of the gutter. So, yes. So, anyway, Jesus was feeling hangry and he saw a fig tree up in the distance. So, he walked up to that fig tree. And when he got there, there wasn't a fig on that tree. Do you know why not? It was because it was out of season. It wasn't supposed to be bearing fruit right then. And so, he I don't know. I love Jesus, but I think he was acting a little bit like a spoiled brat right now. And he said to that tree, "May no one ever eat fruit from you again, ever." And the next morning, they were leaving because, see, they didn't get to leave because they had to wait for something to open up and they could take Jesus to get something to eat because he was hungry. And then, and he needed a nap and so on and so forth. So, anyway, the next morning, they was leaving. And as they were leaving, sorry, Peter, he looked over and he saw that fig tree. And he kind of bumps Jesus and he says, you know, "Look at that fig tree over there." And they looked over there and it was withering and dying. It sure was. So, y'all, the lesson in that story is that even if the Son of God is hungry, y'all better hide your snacks. Mark needs to remember that one. He might want to be hiding his snacks when him and Susie and Karen is on that road trip because that's coming up. Mm-mm-mm. Anyway, speaking of Mark, I hope he doesn't hear me. He won't let me come visit no more and use this studio. Eutychus falls asleep in church, and that is in Acts 20, verses 9 and 10. Now, I don't really know why Eutychus was sitting in an open window in a church, but he was. And I mean, like a good preacher, Paul was dragging this on and on and on. So Eutychus, he falls asleep, and y'all, he tumbled out of that window 3 stories, and he hit the ground, and he died. There seems to be a little bit of death going on in here, trees and people, and I don't know. But anyway, but Paul, he said, "I'm not done preaching." And he marched his ass right on down those 3 stories and out there, and he flung himself onto that poor dead man. And he yelled, "Don't be alarmed. He's alive." And he was. I don't know. Maybe he was just in shock. Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there. We'll have to ask Susie. She might have been there. Anyway, but y'all, not even David, not even dying. I get my tongue twisted. Not even dying will save you from sitting through a Baptist sermon. I guarantee that. So, this next one is a little scandalous. I call it Walking Naked for 3 years. And it's in Isaiah 20, verses 2 and 3. And so basically, it says the Lord spoke through Isaiah, and his daddy was Amoz. And he told him to take off his clothes and his sandals. And then he told him to walk around naked for 3 years. I don't know. It was something about Egypt and Cush. I don't know. I know. I'm a little confused too. But anyway, can you imagine explaining to your neighbor, Karen, why the Lord told you to walk around naked for 3 years? 3 solid years. I can't even imagine. Can you imagine? Because I can't imagine. Mm-mm-mm. So, number 9 is Peter's fish tax, and it's in Matthew 17, verse 27. And it basically says that Peter was told that so he didn't get in trouble with the tax man to go on down to the lake and to throw in his line. And it said, Now, when you pull that first fish in, it's gonna have a coin in it, and I wrote down what kinda coin it was. There we go. It's a drachma coin. It'll have a drachma coin in it, and I don't know what that is either. I hope Sister Mary Frances doesn't know that I don't know this stuff because 'cause I'm supposed to. I really am. My hair seems a little crooked today. My bangs is not doing right. I think Susie cut them. Anyway, you're gonna find this coin in the first fish that you catch, and you're supposed to take that coin and take it down to the tax man, and it'll pay my taxes and yours. I don't know, and it did. Y'all, I'm gonna quit worrying about those ATMs, and I'm just gonna start throwing a line in and catching me a fish. I don't know. I don't think we have drachma coins here. Do you think I can use them at the Piggly Wiggly? I hope so. Anyway, here's another one. It's a little bit, but not too bad. We gotta remember the Bible is full of interesting tales, and it was a wild, wild land back in the day. So anyway, Samson eats honey from a lion, and that's in Judges 14, verse 8 and 9. And it says, sometime later, he went back to marry her. I think that might have been Delilah. And he turned to the side to look at the lion's carcass. And in that carcass, he saw a swarm of bees. And with those bees, he saw honey just dripping, just lots of honey. And so, anyway, what he did was he went over there and he scooped a bunch of that honey out in his hands, both of them. He had his hands just like a bowl, and it was just full of honey. And he would be walking along and he'd just be eating that honey. Now, I can only imagine the mess that made, but he didn't care. He had honey, right? So I think it kind of sounded like some of that honey that Jesus might have needed. hmm Maybe he should have been looking for a lion carcass and not a fig tree, or at least just quit cursing the fig trees. Fig trees. I've never figured that one out, but he was mad, hangry, hangry. Anyway, goodness, we are almost done. So I wrote these down, and now I can't read my own writing. I need some new glasses, I think. So anyway, number 11 is this one's it's fun. Jacob's sheep breeding trick. It's in Genesis 30 verse 37 through 39. Now this one is about as the Old Testament as it can get, because we all know, well, some of us know, that Genesis is the first book in the Bible in the Old Testament. hmm And anyway, so what it says is that Jacob, he took some branches from a poplar tree, an almond tree, a plane tree. That's a plane tree, not like just a regular ordinary tree. It's a special kind of tree. And anyway, he made white stripes on them by peeling back the bark and stuff. And anyway, he put all of these branches in water troughs. Yeah. Like if there's a trough, he sat them at the back of along the back of the water trough. And the reason that he did this was so that when the sheep came to get a drink of water, they would get a drink of water there, and w- they would also mate in front of those branches, y'all. And so they would mate, and then when they bore babies, they were speckled and striped. Yeah, that's the truth. Would the Bible lie? I don't think so. I do not think so. So, y'all, who knew? Who knew that arts and crafts is how genetics work? Kind of cool, though. All right. You all have probably heard of this one before, but I just gonna make sure. Jonah and the big fish. Yep, Jonah. And it's in Jonah chapter 1, verse 17. And it says, now the Lord provided a huge fish to swallow Jonah. Now, I don't know why he wanted to provide that fish for Jonah, but or why he didn't just call it a whale. But who am I to argue? That's what I get in trouble for a lot is I have a lot of questions and I get in trouble for that. But anyway, so he, brought this fish so it would swallow Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of that fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Oh my goodness. Y'all, that's why Susie picks where they go on vacation. Because Mark has questionable taste in lodging. I don't know. But I wonder, was that Jonah married? Because was his wife wondering where in the world he was? I bet he had some explaining to do. 3 days and 3 nights. She probably thought he was on a bender. Uh, okay, number 13 says Shadrach, Meshach, and somebody else's furnace. And it's in Daniel 3:23-27. Okay, and it says, yeah, I can't pronounce their names very good. So these dudes was tied up and they were tossed into the furnace. Okay. And suddenly King Neb, he looks over there and he's just got this look of absolute astonishment. And he leaps to his feet and he says, didn't y'all just tie up 3 dudes and throw them into the fire? And they were like, yeah. And he says, well, look over there. And sure as could be, there was 4 men walking around in that fire. And none of them was tied up. They were unharmed. Their bodies, their hair, nothing was even scorched. Mm-mm. Their robes weren't scalded. Nothing. No smell of fire on them. I don't know. Something tells me that 4th one might have been Jesus. But y'all, I come out worse than that on a hot day in the summer in Oklahoma. So I think they had it pretty lucky is what I'm thinking. So now, y'all, the beauty is if y'all want the rest of these stories, that you're going to have to go and read them yourself. See, I thought I would just give you just a little bit of a sample that would make you want to go pick up the good book yourself. And if not, well, don't tell Sister Mary Frances, because that's what I told her was going to happen. I told her, I said, her videos, they sometimes get 10 or 12 views. And I mean, sometimes they get 3 or 4 or 500 views. That's that many people that might have the opportunity to pick up the good book. And so that was really how I got back over here. So anyway, so I bet some of y'all, you didn't know that the Bible is not just Sunday school lessons. Nope. It's a true crime, cooking show, and even ghost hunters all rolled up into one giant book with hard to read names. But thanks for being here, and I will see you next week. Love you all. God bless.
Hope you enjoyed the show, so glad you were here. We meet here most days, we're but first coffee and you're welcome here. We talk about hard subjects, but we also laugh a lot. If you have a loss or win, we will cheer for you. We're but first coffee and you are safe here. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons, notifications set to all. You don't wanna miss a show, because this is your home to y'all. So hit those like and subscribe buttons.